Hello and welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something I think, well, lots of us have probably thought about. How do great ideas actually, get off the ground? Especially now when everything seems to move so fast. You might have this amazing idea, maybe for a product or, I don't know, a community project, even just a better way to run your team. But how do you make sure it actually happens? And importantly, how do you avoid pouring tons of resources into something that, well, might just not work out? Our deep dive today is into a framework that really shifted how people tackle this. It's The Lean Startup by Ries. Came out in 2011, and it wasn't just like advice. It was a whole methodology. It's had a huge impact on product development, especially for startups. But honestly, the ideas apply almost anywhere there's uncertainty.
Right. And our mission today really is to get past the buzzwords. We want to pull out the key pieces of this methodology for you so you can understand why it caught on, where its real strength is, but also maybe some of the finer points, the challenges too. The goal is to give you a solid, practical understanding pretty quickly so you can actually use these ideas yourself.
Okay. And to help us do that, we've been looking at a pretty comprehensive source, a detailed Wikipedia article. It lays out the main concepts, the history, how it was received, a good starting point. So, yeah, let's unpack this. Let's see how this approach helps people build really successful businesses. Okay, so first things first, let's just ground ourselves in what Eric Ries actually proposed. The full title is quite revealing: The Lean Startup: How Today's Entrepreneurs Use Continuous Innovation to Create Radically Successful Businesses. So it tells you right there, it's about continuous innovation.
Exactly. At its heart, it's a system,
Yeah.
right? A framework designed for building something new when you're dealing with a lot of unknowns. Extreme uncertainty, as he calls it. It's not about just having a plan and sticking to it no matter what. It's more about structured experimenting.
Structured experimenting, I like that.
Yeah. And what's really key is how it tries to cut down on wasted effort and guesswork right from the start. It basically boils down the whole product development thing into three main pillars. These aren't just steps. They kind of work together. First, you've got rapid prototyping.
Okay. Building fast.
Well, yes and no. It's not just speed for speed's sake. It's about making something quick and simple. Maybe just a sketch, a mock-up, sometimes even just a web page explaining the idea. The point is to test one specific idea or assumption you have, not build the whole thing perfectly, just enough to learn something specific.
Got it. Test one thing. What's next?
The second pillar, validated learning.
Validated learning. Sounds important.
It is. And it's not just asking people, hey, what do you want? Because honestly, people often don't know, or they'll just describe something familiar. This is more scientific. You take your assumptions, turn them into things you can actually test. Then you see how real customers behave when they interact with your prototype or your product, even a very basic version. You measure it.
So like A/B tests, that kind of thing.
Exactly. A/B tests, looking at how groups of users behave over time, careful interviews focused on behavior. It's about uncovering what people really need based on data, not just opinions.
Okay, rapid prototyping to test ideas, validated learning from real behavior,
What's the third pillar?
iterative product releases.
So not one big launch.
Right. Forget the giant, risky reveal where everything has to be perfect. Think smaller steps, micro launches maybe. You release a small piece of functionality, maybe just one new feature to some of your users. You measure how it goes, you look at the data, and then you decide. Do you keep going this way, persevere, or do you need to change direction, pivot?
Pivot or persevere. Heard those terms? Yeah, they're central. And the big goal, tying all three pillars together, is to dramatically shorten that whole development cycle by making every single step a chance to learn. So you spend less time and money building stuff that ultimately nobody actually wants.
That makes a lot of sense. Minimum waste, maximum learning.
You got it.
And this focus on learning fast leads us to maybe the most famous concept from the book, the MVP, the minimum viable product. It's everywhere now, isn't it? But sometimes I think people misunderstand it. They think minimum just means like cheap or basic.
Yeah, that's a common trap.
Yeah.
Ries is pretty clear, though. The minimum part isn't about being low quality. It's about being the least amount of effort needed to start the process of learning.
So it's a tool for learning.
Exactly. It's basically an experiment. What's the smallest, quickest, cheapest thing you can build and release to get the maximum amount of validated learning about your customers? It's designed to test your biggest, riskiest assumption first.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Like maybe you think people want a new way to share photos. Your riskiest assumption might be if they'll share a specific type of photo. So Your MVP isn't a full Instagram clone. Maybe it's just a simple upload button and a way to see if anyone uploads that one type of photo, just enough to test that core idea.
Okay, so the MVP isn't the final product, it's just the start of the learning process.
Precisely. It's the starting gun, as you said earlier.
Right. So the gun fires, you've launched the MVP. What then? How does lean startup actually guide you after that? Because just putting something out isn't enough, is it?
Not at all. That's where the feedback loop comes in, the continuous loop.
The build, measure, learn loop.
That's the one. You build the MVP.
Yeah.
Then you measure how real users actually interact with it. Critically, you're looking at behavior, data, not just opinions in a survey. Then you learn from those measurements what worked, what didn't, why.
And that learning feeds back into the next cycle.
Exactly. It tells you what to build next. Or if you need to pivot, change your core strategy based on what you just learned. It's this constant cycle. Build a little, measure the impact, learn from it, adjust, and repeat.
So it's about systematically reducing risk.
Yes, by making sure you're constantly checking your assumptions against reality, against what users are actually telling you through their actions. It stops you from going too far down the wrong path based on a plan you made months ago.
It's a real shift from just planning everything up
A
front.
huge shift from trying to predict the future to actively adapting to what you learn along the way.
And these ideas, rapid experimenting, adapting based on users, they didn't just come out of thin air, right? Eric Ries developed this based on his own experiences.
Absolutely. He talks about the struggles with his first startup, IMVU, which was like an online virtual world thing. They faced a lot of challenges. And then as he started advising other startups, he saw patterns. What worked, what didn't. He saw companies burning through cash, building things nobody wanted because they didn't test their ideas early enough.
So it's born from real-world pain points.
Very much so. It's practical advice rooted in entrepreneurial reality.
And it connects to other big ideas too, doesn't it? It's not entirely isolated.
No, definitely not. If you zoom out, it's part of this bigger shift away from rigid old school business planning, what some people call waterfall methods, where you plan everything up front. Lean startup borrows really heavily from lean manufacturing.
Like Toyota.
Exactly like Toyota. That whole philosophy of maximizing value while minimizing waste, efficiency, continuous improvement. Lean startup applies that thinking to innovation.
Okay. And the other influence.
Agile development, which totally changed how software gets built. Instead of giant multi-year projects, Agile focuses on flexibility, building in small increments, collaborating closely, responding to change.
So Lean Startup kind of synthesizes these, takes lean ideas and agile ideas and adapts them for startups.
Precisely. It's a clever combination, specifically tailored for the high uncertainty world of new ventures.
And we know it's not just theory because companies actually use this stuff. And not just small startups, right?
Oh yeah, the list is impressive. You mentioned Alphabet Energy, Dropbox, Wealthfront, classic startup success stories influenced by these ideas.
But the GE example is fascinating. General Electric, a huge established industrial company. How did they use Lean Startup?
That's a great case study. They launched an internal program called FastWorks. Instead of spending years designing, say, a new gas turbine part, they started using lean principles. They'd quickly prototype a new design, get it out into a real-world test environment, maybe just one power plant, get immediate data and feedback, and then iterate.
Applying build, measure, learn to heavy industry.
Exactly. They significantly sped up their innovation cycles for complex physical products. It really showed the principles could work way beyond just software or internet startups. It's about the mindset.
Wow. Okay. And the book itself obviously struck a chord. You mentioned the sales figures, over 1 million copies, translated into dozens of languages.
Yeah, and hitting the New York Times bestsellers list back in 2011. That's significant for a business methodology book.
Why do you think it resonated so much? What nerve did it touch?
I think it offered a concrete alternative to a process that just wasn't working for many people. So many entrepreneurs had experienced the pain of spending months, maybe years, and tons of money building something based on a hunch, only to launch it and crickets. Failure.
Right. The feeling of just throwing resources into a black hole.
Exactly. Lean Startup gave them a practical, step-by-step way to navigate that uncertainty. It offered a sense of control, a method to the madness. It felt like an antidote.
Okay, so huge commercial success, widely adopted in practice. But what about the academic view? Has it been universally embraced there?
It's been influential, for sure,
Yeah.
but maybe a bit more nuanced, more discussion and critique.
Like Ethan Mollick at Wharton.
Right. Professor Mollick, he definitely sees the value and the focus on experimenting and learning. That's solid. But he also raises some cautions, good ones, actually. Well, one point is about relying too heavily on early customer input, especially for really groundbreaking tech.
How so?
If you're inventing something completely new, something customers can't even imagine yet, think the first smartphone, maybe. Your potential early customers might not be able to give you useful feedback because they just don't grasp the potential. Their feedback might even steer you away from the truly revolutionary path.
So sometimes you need more vision than just customer feedback.
Perhaps. It suggests that for truly disruptive innovations, you might need a balanced, strong vision plus experimentation, not just letting early feedback dictate everything. Malik also pointed out potential limitations in some tools often used with lean startup, like the business model canvas. Maybe they don't always capture all the complexity.
Interesting. Any other critiques?
Yes, some other researchers like Balkin and Sneher, they've noted that while experimentation is key, we actually need more research on how to do it best. Like, how do you design the right experiments? How do you best interpret the results, especially in different types of companies or industries?
So the academic understanding of the experimentation process itself is still evolving.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even really popular frameworks aren't necessarily the final word. There's still room for refinement, deeper understanding, and critical thinking about how and when to apply them.
Continuous learning about continuous learning, basically.
You could say that.
Okay, great perspective. So just to quickly recap the core ideas we've unpacked from the lean startup, we've got rapid prototyping, making simple versions fast to test ideas,
Right. Then validated learning, getting real proof from user behavior.
and iterative releases, building in small steps, learning as you go.
All driven by the minimum viable product, the smallest thing you can build to start learning.
And that constant build, measure, learn feedback loop. It's really about choosing adaptation over sticking to a rigid plan, a scientific way to deal with uncertainty.
That sums it up nicely.
So thinking about our listeners, what does all this mean for you? Because this isn't just for tech bros in Silicon Valley, right?
Absolutely not.
These ideas, this mindset, you can apply it anywhere you're starting something new. A new product, sure, but also maybe launching a community group, trying a new process at work, even a personal project where the outcome isn't certain.
Any situation with unknowns.
It gives you a way to be smarter, more efficient, learn quickly, change course if needed based on actual results, not just assumptions. It helps you avoid building something nobody wants, whether that's a product or, a badly planned event.
Yeah. Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to take away. Think about something you're working on right now, or just an idea you're kicking around. Could be work-related, could be personal, a side hustle, a new hobby, anything.
Okay.
What's the absolute minimum version of that thing you could put out there or test somehow just to start getting real feedback? Not perfect feedback, just real feedback.
Like the podcast example you mentioned earlier, just recording a short pilot on a phone.
Exactly. Or if you want to write a book, maybe just share one chapter with a few people first. If you want to start a fitness routine, maybe just commit to 10 minutes 3 times a week initially. See how it feels and build from there. How could doing less planning up front and more small-scale experimenting actually help you make faster progress and get better results in the end?
Even outside of business.
Especially outside of business. It's about embracing that experimental mindset wherever you face uncertainty. Learn by doing
Yeah,
in small steps.
I love that. Experiment more, plan less. Maybe that's the key takeaway. Well, food for thought. Hopefully these insights give you some new ways to approach your own projects and ideas. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll catch you next time.